Hi, I am Silviana Carter, author of the upcoming book Feel and Grow Rich, and today I have the honor to introduce Louistas Nyuyse, the success mindset coach and property entrepreneur, author of 4 books. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your background for our audience?
Thank you very much, Sylvie. I am honored and it's my pleasure to be invited to be part of your show. And yes, I was born in British Southern Cameroon several years ago. I grew up there. I went to school and into a boarding school, much to my dislike. My parents wanted me to, because they wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer or a priest. But I eventually, anyway, went to secondary school, completed from there and went to university. But I went to study as a priest, but I didn't like it. I left and chose to be a father. I'm a father of 3. And when I moved several years to Britain, to the UK, I have since been a lecturer in the university teaching nursing and also a property entrepreneur. But most importantly, because of my background and success, I now also teach people how to succeed and what to do to be able to succeed.
Wow, amazing. What inspired you to write this book?
Several things inspired me. When I was growing up, as you would have heard already, I had so many limiting beliefs that stopped me from being who I was. For example, financial limiting beliefs. When I was growing up, money was for the rich, and the rich in my eyes were corrupt. When I was growing up, we were told as children that, as children, you didn't speak. You could not even be heard. You were just only supposed to be seen. And as I was growing up, I was always told, no, 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 and no. And I grew up with these limiting beliefs. Since I came to the UK, started looking at success books and attending seminars, I then understood that there is a way to succeed, that there is a formula to succeed, that there is a framework which if you use, you can succeed. And I have then started to go on this route and this journey. And I decided then to write down my experiences so that other people can learn from me, what I've learned from people like Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Forbes, Riley, and the rest. Another thing that has inspired me is the pandemic. The pandemic has dealt a terrible blow onto people. People have lost their loved ones, people have lost their jobs, and people have lost their confidence. Self-doubt has set in, procrastination for a lot of people. And so I thought, maybe I could help people with some ideas on how to eliminate self-doubt, on how to eliminate procrastination, just as other people have helped me to do so.
Brilliant. Can you tell me about the book?
Yes, it's a wonderful book. It's a powerful book that everybody should, after this week or so, get the book, because it is called The Success Mindset, Eliminating Self-Doubt. It has got 2 major chapters broken into little chapters. And the first chapter itself is handling what I call self-doubt, which also is interpreted by some people as self or low self-esteem. And therein, I look at several things that make people have low self-esteem, several things that make us doubt. For example, self-doubt, it can paralyze us. Self-doubt can imprison us, and it can deceive us to fear our own selves and to fear progress. And fear in itself is false evidence appearing real. I don't think there is anybody who's ever seen and touched fear. But our self-doubt makes us fear things, fear to do things. I look at that in the book. I also look at the lack of self-esteem. For a lot of young people, for a lot of older people, middle-aged people, self-esteem is a terrible thing they don't feel worthy enough. They don't believe that they can do something. They don't believe they can succeed. They don't believe that they deserve, for example, love. A lot of people don't deserve that they deserve riches. A lot of people don't believe that they can be better in life. What is stopping us? I look at those type of things in the book. And also, there are people who don't have the experience and knowledge to do what they would like to do, to follow their passions. Why is it that when we are children, we can learn 4, 5, 10 languages? We can learn to walk, we can learn to jump, we can learn to read and write within 2 years. But as adults, we then lack the knowledge. What is the problem? I look at these problems in the book and then propose some solutions. Solutions, for example, like breaking the cycle of self-doubt. You see, when you get into the cycle of doubting yourself, you doubt your thoughts, you doubt your actions, you then doubt your results, you create habits of doubt, and eventually everything begins to be doubtful, and your conscience then becomes doubtful. And when somebody says 1 + 1, you start wondering whether the answer is 2 or 3, because your conscience now is literally doubting yourself and everything. So how do we break the cycle of self-doubt? We break it by what first I describe as fear and do it anyway. Doubt and do it anyway. You know, there's this story about a little bird or 2 birds, a little bird sitting in the nest right up there in the tree, and the mother of the birds has gone out and they are ready to start flying. But both of them, none of them wants to jump first. And the little one literally picks another one up and throws away and throws it out. And it started struggling to fly. By the time it was about to hit the ground, it already began flying. And that is how it learned to fly. Somehow we've got to jump and grow our wings on the way down. I also propose that people need to ask ourselves this question. We need to ask ourselves the question, what's the worst thing that can happen? When I'm scared of doing what I need to do, what's the worst thing that can happen? If we ask this question all the time, we can somehow come to the conclusion that nothing is going to happen, but some good might come from it. I also look at things like getting mentors. You know, there is just a few stories, only a few stories that human beings could live, act, and they have all been acted. And we only need to model them. We only need to look at those stories, those success stories, and follow them. But I also talk about focusing on the good stuff. You know, Sylvie, the world seems to be a bad place because good people are too quiet. And maybe people who deserve some bit of growth, they talk too loudly and we shy back. And then we begin to doubt ourselves as well. How do we get out of this rut? You know, the universe helps us when we begin to say to ourselves positively, we can change. And when you focus on the positive stuff happens to you. When you focus on the negative stuff, sometimes negative stuff happens. There is a lot of solutions I propose in the book, and that's just a little summary of what this book, The Success Mindset, Eliminating Self-Doubt, is all about.
Yes, very impressive. Louistas, what are your top 3 priorities in life?
That is a very, that's a tough question to answer, but I must say, maybe the top priorities for me, maybe the top 3 priorities are family. I've got 3 little children, and they are priority. They literally are the reason for which I do what I do now. The second thing is self-development, self-improvement. You know, success is about little increments of something good in your life or achieving goals. And I am literally almost obsessed with that now. And also giving back to community. When I grew up in British Southern Cameroon, I was raised up by my father and mother, wonderful people, 9 of us in the family, but we were raised up by the community. And that has stayed with me, so that it becomes a passion of mine to give back to community, because community itself made me who I am. Those are my top 3 priorities.
Amazing. Yes. What are the habits that lead to your success?
Good one there. There are a lot of habits. There are a lot of things that have led to my success. The first one that jumps into mind immediately is taking massive action. You know, when I started my property business, for the first 24 months, I viewed 528 properties, and I used to drive for 4 hours from my location to the location where I was viewing properties. And I would view properties all day and drive 4 hours back. Now, for those 24 months, I'm viewing 528 properties, and offer was not accepted for a very long time. I did not give up. And I continued to take action until one day an offer was accepted. I bought the first property, then bought another one, and another one, and another one. So taking massive action is one of my main proper habits that I have developed. My colleagues at the Property Training Academy, they actually started calling me, nicknaming me the action taker. I even won 3 awards within 12 months of joining the academy. One of the other habits is discipline. I was raised up by 2 parents who are both teachers. And when I was in primary school, when I came back home, they had to look at my homework. And if I did not get all of it right, they punished me to do it again. They were my parents. I lived with them, and they could have helped me to do my homework. They didn't. They made me do it. And if I got punished in school, they punished me the second time. And thank God they did, because I learned discipline. And that is why right now, one of my habits is discipline. And I have this mantra: how I see or do one thing is how I see and do everything. Discipline is so important. Let me tell you another one. One of my habits is going back to my childhood consciousness. You know, Sylvie, when we were children, we were not scared of anything. There was no fear in us. When we were children, there was nothing like a brother, a sister. Everybody was our relative. And when we were children, we believed we could fly. When we were children, we saw the world as our home, and we knew actually we would live forever, until our human parents, they told us, no, 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 no. They told us, don't talk to strangers. They told us, you can't touch this, you can't do that. But I have learned that by tapping into that childhood innocence and childhood consciousness, we can do things that can actually be seen by people as miracles. That's one of my habits, returning to our childhood consciousness.
Very interesting. Do you know that we tend to become those we admire? Who do you admire the most?
That's a great question. I must say the first people I admire most are my parents, my mom and my dad. Sylvie, these 2 human beings, they raised 9 children. My dad was paid £36 a month. My mom was paid £28 a month. We lived on less than $1 a week. And they sent us to school with that mega salary. They prepared us for life. There is nothing that can exchange or can replace that experience and that upbringing. And I pray and thank God for them every day. Some of the people I look forward to or look to becoming like are people like Tony Robbins. Well, I can't grow that tall. If I stood up, you would see I'm literally a midget. But of course, his mindset is wonderful. Somebody like Les Brown. I actually want to be a proper prodigy of Les Brown because his motivation, his inspiration is wonderful. I look forward to it. People like Forbes Riley, the mother or the queen of who could sell you anything. She's a very convincing person and happy, wonderful, a positive energy. And there's a lot more people, but these 3 people or 4 with my parents, they stand out for me as people I look up to all the time.
Wonderful. What keeps you awake at night?
That question, I'm not sure how I can answer. Well, what keeps me awake at night? I dream a lot. Sometimes I like that, you know, that song, I'm not sure who sang it. Dream, 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 dream. I do dream a lot of strategies. I like my mind to go wild. I have a box here of ideas. And sometimes I jump out of my bed in the night and I scribble things and I put in that box, because I want to create a community in the future of joyful people, of various aspects and various groups of people. I've been a teacher, I've been a nurse, I'm a father, I'm an entrepreneur. Would it not be a wonderful thing to have a joyful community of teachers in the world? To have a joyful community of nurses, to have a joyful community of parents, to have a joyful community of, mention it. So that keeps me awake, but also legacy. If I were back in my village where I was born, I would have kola nut trees, I would have palm bushes, I would have some plants which I would have planted for my children. I don't have that. And for those of us who've migrated and living in other places in the world, there is a whole idea of legacy. I think a lot about what will I keep for my children and the people who associate with me, but also personal fulfillment and success. They keep me awake. I have to succeed, and I will not stop until I win.
Nice, wonderful. What advice would you give to someone starting out?
Well, for somebody who is starting now, I would say, especially younger people who are still strong enough, who still have a lot of years ahead of them, I would say, look before you leap. And when you have seen the first step, take that first step and don't think about the second step. Just take the first step. And when you take the first step, you will see the next step. And when you get to the second step, you will see what lies beyond. And don't ask yourself, how will I take the second step when I'm not seeing where I'm going to put my foot? Just take the first step. And once you take the second step, you will know how to take the third step. That's the first thing I would say for people who are just beginning. Secondly, I would say take action. People give a lot of reasons for not taking action. You know, one of my colleagues who used to go, well, she planned with me to go and view properties. I turned up, we planned a week ahead, and I said, look, I'll be at your door at 5 a.m. We'll drive for 4 hours. And I turned up, knocked at her door, and she came out and said, it's raining. Said, yes, we're going to be in a car. We're driving in a car. She blamed the rain for not going for viewings. If she had just taken action, just taken action, she would have been a property investor as well. She didn't. So I would say, don't blame everything out there. Just take action. Fear, be scared, but do it anyway. And lastly, I would say, also, model yourself to someone. Like I said, there are just very few human stories, and they have been acted. People have had several passions and succeeded in those passions. Find somebody who has actually achieved what you want to achieve and sit on their feet like a disciple. Learn from them, model what they do, and then you will succeed as they succeeded. You know, sometimes people complain about, oh, we don't have money to pay for coaches, to pay for mentors. And well, you will spend the money somehow, some way anyway. So I would say also, instead of going straight for the gurus, just go for somebody who is more successful, a little bit more than you, because they will give you more time. As you succeed, they will also succeed. The gurus have done it. They have been there. Their level is way high there, and they now deserve to interact with other gurus. But sometimes some of us, we struggle to look up too far and we miss the step. Take the next step, and when you reach there, you will know the how, and just keep on taking action.
Brilliant. What was something that you had to give up to get where you are today?
Oh, I've given a lot of things up. I gave a lot of things up. One thing that I gave up unknowingly, and it suffered, was family and relationships. Sometimes I sit in my office here and my child has to, one of the children need to come down and say, like, hey, daddy, do you want to play? And sometimes, oh my goodness, yes, it's playtime. Okay, I will be there, but then I spend another 30 minutes before I get there. Family and relationships, they have suffered, and it's part of the challenge. Friends, I gave up a lot of friends. For example, when I started my journey into entrepreneurship, I got friends who called me names, and some of the friends who told me you can't do it. Some friends who said to me, well, we'll see you when you get there. I literally gave up such friends, toxic friends. Les Brown calls these people toxic people. And he says he should, practice what he calls QOP or OQP, only quality people. I have also given up a lot of sleep. I sleep about 5 to 4 hours, sometimes even less a day. But I've conditioned my mind to accept and know that my body only needs about 5 hours of sleep. I've given it up, but I know that by giving up sleep, I can do well. I can use more time to reach out to more people, to help myself, and to grow.
Excellent. And what is the story behind your success?
How much time have we got for me to tell you about my childhood? The story behind my success starts from my childhood innocence. When I was growing up, as I've said already, I had a tough upbringing. I lived on less than $1 a week. I used to trek to school 10 kilometers and would have one meal a day. I used to come back from school after trekking for that time. I would still trek for 5 kilometers to another direction to go and help my mom in the farm, and would dig potatoes. I'll carry sacks of potatoes on my head to sell to pay for school fees. I would, go to school. And I remember one day my father was the head teacher of our primary school, and he had a bike. He was one of 3 people who had a bike in my village. We didn't have any cars in my village. I got into a car the first time when I was 11 years old. But when my dad used to leave and go to school, he would leave us at home and drive in his bike to school. Well, there were 9 of us anyway. He couldn't get all of us on his bike. But as a head teacher, he would be the one again to punish us for coming late. And one day I came late, and he smacked me so badly that I ran home, and I took the school keys and I wanted to put them in the toilet. I slept in the bushes that night because I did not want him to see me anymore. But that taught me a lesson. Thank God I have seen all of that. I am able to understand the people with whom I work. I'm able to step in people's shoes that somehow people don't understand. And so that has helped me to, one, become a wonderful teacher for people, or teacher of people, because I'm able to understand some of the things that people carry around. We don't know the baggage that people carry around, but sometimes if you miss that, you cannot access the information that you need to access in order to help people. One of the things that has helped me in my journey was a very, very sad incident, but I did not, and I consider it a wonderful experience. On the 25th of August, 2010, I drowned in a swimming pool. It was hard. I think I was in that pool for about 3 to 4 minutes. The people with whom I was swimming, they could not save me. They had to run to a neighboring compound or house or property to get somebody to come and save me. And they did. And by the time the ambulance people arrived, I was there just lying like a rock. They got me back. And thank God I am alive. When people drown, they lose their consciousness and they lose their brains, or they die. I ask myself, why was I spared? And the only thing I could remember is the feeling I had at the time that I drowned. I saw myself floating in space. All little children with ponies, you know, throwing flowers up there, and I was flowing, trying to catch. I have never had such a pleasant feeling like that. So I know that dying is good. There is something beyond. And I, therefore, from that time, said to myself, because I was spared, I could only have been spared for a mission. And that drives me to reach out to people, to help people, to become myself, my best self, to brighten my corner and help people to brighten their own corners as well.
Very impressive. Wow.